Please keep Ukraine in your prayers. Learn about the issues.
Tonight, hundreds gather for rallies across Manitoba to mark 1 year since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. How Manitobans and Ukrainians stood together just ahead.
This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Coming together through song, a large crowd reciting the Ukrainian national anthem outside the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. One of hundreds of rallies held around the world today to mark 1 year of war in Ukraine. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laychuk. The cold evening did not deter a swollen crowd from gathering tonight to show solidarity with Ukraine and call on all levels of government to increase their support for Ukrainians fighting for their lands.
Slava Ukraini! Heroyam slava!
Canada announced it will send 4 more Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine today, bringing the country's total contribution to 8 tanks. Still, Ukrainians in Manitoba say the last 365 days have been hard.
Ukraine stands. After 1 year of this brutal, illegal invasion, Ukraine stands. That's number one. Having said that, Ukraine is struggling. Really, people are dying. There is the largest displacement of people. Millions of people have been displaced.
I'm grateful and happy that the Ukrainian army was able to defend its territory because it alleviated so much killing. Of course, every day we watch on the news as these rockets come over in huge numbers, slamming into hospitals, into civilian apartment buildings, etc. And so it's heartbreaking every day.
In Brandon tonight, about 150 supporters gathered to march from Brandon University to City Hall. Some who still cannot believe that the war is still going on and hope today's rallies give Canadians renewed motivation to help Ukraine.
It's not just full year of war, it's full year continuously, every single day, rockets flying.
Among the other events scheduled in the province this weekend are a peace walk tomorrow in Winnipeg and prayer services on Sunday. Thousands of Ukrainians have found refuge in Manitoba, including in Steinbach. The CBC's Ian Fraze explains how some of those Ukrainians are being comforted by their Christian faith.
The music coming from this church can soothe the soul. Some Ukrainians fleeing the war are coveting that music and the fellowship. Nadia Bondarchuk is speaking through a translator, her older sister.
This is very important because this is the part of my normal world before the war happened.
The 17-year-old Ukrainian should be in medical school by now, but the war ruined her plans. Her sister Olga says this Steinbach church gives Nadia comfort.
Faith is something that helps her to carry through all the tough moments and tough situations in life and just gives hope and helps, to see the light in the end of the tunnel.
Every weekend, dozens of Ukrainians congregate inside this church in Steinbach. It's a reality now after the number of Ukrainian refugees grew, but it wasn't always this way. They started out by meeting in someone's home.
We had 3 families.
Nikolai Usach is pastor of the Ukrainian Slavic Church. When displaced Ukrainians started coming to Steinbach, he knew he could help. And to accommodate the new families, his congregation moved from his home to the basement of the Steinbach Mennonite Brethren Church.
I think my happiness is to serve people.
It's estimated that up to 350 Ukrainian refugees have come to Steinbach this past year.
It reminds us that our calling is to be a welcoming community for all.
Bondarchuk is grateful Steinbach answered that call.
And having that group that knows your background, that talks the same language that you talk, it means the world to you.
It's support she can lean on when times are tough. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Steinbach, Manitoba.
Here's some of the other stories making news in our province tonight. Manitoba will accept federal money for health care. Our province joins Ontario and the Atlantic provinces in reaching an agreement with Ottawa. Earlier this month, the federal government announced $46 billion in new health care money for the provinces and territories over 10 years.
We will be booking the entire amount into this budget coming up. In terms of the details of that, obviously we're in discussions with the federal government as to what that will look like.
Well, by the end of March, more than half the members of Manitoba's Government and General Employees Union could be without a contract. Most of the 17,000 workers work for the provincial public service. The union is looking for strike mandates in order to gain some leverage with the province.
Nobody wants to be on strike. No employer wants their employees on strike, but we're giving them the tools. We're upping our strike pay. We're adding the ability to do targeted strikes so we can actually take on different, because we learned from watching other unions across this country that that's something that works well.
The BC government says it's hoping to reach agreements with all of its MGEU bargaining units. People living in the Windsor Hotel in downtown Winnipeg have until the end of April to find a new place to live after the building was sold.
We all knew this day was going to come one day. I used to live at the Winnipeg as well. So.
John Olinick has lived at the hotel for more than a year now. He says for many, the change and having to move will be difficult. The Main Street project is trying to find new housing for people. All right, let's take a look outside at downtown Winnipeg tonight. We are looking at a bit of a warmer weekend. Fiona Odlum has our weekend weather forecast next. We'll be right back.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. The trade and upgrade event is on now.
Another cold night in the province, but we don't have those extreme cold warnings. You can see that we have a little bit of clear sky through the northern portion of the province, but lots of cloud throughout the southern part. We're going to see that break away a little bit, but not too much. By the time we get going tomorrow morning, we're going to see wind chill values into the north of -38, 39, and even in towards Winnipeg, -36. First thing in the morning, it does start to warm up. We have some warm air starting to billow into the province, and we're going to start seeing a nice change in terms of that daytime high and overnight low. Looking for lots of warmth coming to us on Saturday. Big shift there, but keep a close eye over here in northern Alberta. This system will start moving in, and so we're looking for a bit of a disruption into Sunday night into Monday. So we're going to be ending February with just a little bit of snow coming our way. -21 at midnight tonight with a partly cloudy sky. A pretty light wind, nothing too dramatic right now. In the morning, we're going to see a mix of sun and cloud, a -23. Still a light wind. That's going to stay with us all throughout the day. Starts to change direction by lunchtime, -19. So here's a beautiful change. So -17 for Saturday, -7 for Sunday, -3 for Monday. But Riley, March starts on Wednesday, coming in like a lion.
Thank you, Fiona. That is your late news for this Friday. We leave you tonight with more of the sights and sounds of tonight's rally at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Have a great weekend.
За нашу свободу.